I'm Nicole Torek.
I'm Charlotte Van Asdal, CARSA, Seneca County.
Our problem of practice is prescription drug misuse among youth in grades 9 through 12 in Seneca County.
We're talking about the community readiness assessment, and it was a great experience, especially for Nicole and I in our community. We got such great feedback from our recipients of the assessment.
I think the assessment too is really going to help us in the future to be able to do this
The strategic
process.
plan. Yeah. Well, what was most helpful was getting the results and seeing where we were as a community. We found that our community climate and our leadership was awesome. We also realized that we had some things that we needed to work on, and that was really helpful, and we did that last fall. We went out and kind of did a promotion of CARSA and the SPF-PFS process. Well, it's a tool that we can use. It's a tool we'll always have in our toolbox, and we could use it for this issue to kind of remeasure, go back and remeasure, but we can also use it for other issues that CARSA may be addressing in the community.
So doing the community readiness assessment really took us out of our comfort zone in quite a few ways. One of the most beneficial things, I think, it was a process that we were able to use in a way that we don't normally. So we were able to engage community members that we wouldn't normally think of, because when we learned about the community readiness process, we talked about the different sectors to engage to get the information that you'll need. So I think it really took us out of our comfort zone of not just thinking we know what's happening in our community, but reaching out to those we might not have thought of reaching out to before to get the additional information. When we did the community readiness assessment, we utilized a lot of tools that were provided to us from OSET and OCAM. There was a lot of webinars that we watched to help us, which are all available on the SPF-PFS website. We also utilized a guide that was provided to us from our team, and that was really great to have something prescribed so we knew what to ask people and that it would be valid information we were asking and receiving.
And I think it was important too is that we talked to some of the other communities that had done the process and were experiencing the same kinds of things we were experiencing. I mean, getting their feedback on how their experience was. So we are experts now in the CRA process. I think I would spend a little bit more time maybe looking at some of the other sectors in the community and maybe having more people involved. We had 5, and that was a good number. We had some people that had some very interesting ideas about what was going on in our county, but I think it would be really good to maybe even expand on that and have maybe more people involved in it.
Another tip that I would have for someone going through this process would be, when you do come up with your questions, make sure you read through them quite a bit. Make sure that before you're doing your interview that you know exactly what you're asking, so that way during the interview it comes across smooth, like you know what you're asking and you're able to focus more on what they're saying and not necessarily reading a script.
Some tips and hints. Just to kind of enjoy the process, to take the information. Sometimes when you hear things, you kind of want to say, well, wait a minute, that's not true, or wait a minute, that's not how I perceive it, but to just take the information and take it and use it, you know, as part of that whole process of learning more about your community.
Right, as someone who's doing this kind of work every day, we oftentimes think, well, yeah, everybody in the community knows about the resources we have, but it was surprising to us in the interview, and I think at times it may have come off during the interview that I wanted to say, what do you mean you don't know that this is happening? So I think a tip would have been to just be more prepared for the fact that not everybody knows exactly what's going on.